Hi there. I wanted to make a guide where I show you a snappy transition background effect. So whenever I scroll into a section, I want the background color to snap into another color. And this is how I want it to look like. So I just scroll and it looks like this. It snaps, right? There's an instant poof, poof, and it fades really nice. So this is how I don't want it to look like. It's a bit harsher. I could fix that, but the thing is, when I scroll very slow, there's actually a second here where I can pause it in the middle of the transition, which doesn't make it smooth, especially if you're on a mobile, right? So when you're on mobile, you can actually like swipe and you will see it stop in the middle of the transition. It doesn't look smooth. So how I did this, I did it with a page scroll effect. So while page is scrolling, I applied effect at some percentage at some place point of the website height. This is where the transition will be applied. But whenever I do this, I actually use legacy interaction and it snaps. So there's no way for me to pause it in the middle. Even if I go really slow, it just snaps. I like this much more, and it took me some time to actually learn how to do it. So let's get into it. This is how it's not supposed to be. So this is the example that I don't like. And what I did there is that I actually applied a while page is scrolling effect, and you can see it just, this is the top of the website, this is the bottom, and in the middle I have this transition, and I want it to be ish smooth. And this is how it's supposed to look like, right? We have this snappy effect into it. So what I did here is that this is how you should do it. You go into the workbench and you just open a div, and this div I will name it content. This content box is actually where you will build your website. This is where you want to put all the elements that you're going to work with. So I put it to Z index 2. Okay. And then I go back to the navigator and I open another div. And this div is going to be called background. So this background, this is the color. I wanted to have the background color of the color that I wanted to snap into. Whenever I want to change background color, this is the color. So let's make it blue for this tutorial. And I make it position fixed with full as setting and Z index of 1, because I want it to be below the content, right? It's a background. So the Z index works like a layer. So if something has layer 1 and you put another element with with Z index 2, it actually layers on top of it, and you can move on like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And some people like to use like bigger jumps, so they use like 1, 10, 50, 100, 200, 500, and you can do that as well. What matters is that the highest C index will be on top of the other elements, right? So to apply this, you need to have it set to position relative, absolute, sticky, or fixed. In this case, we use it fixed because we want it to always be in the background, like cover the whole page. And then for the content, it's applied C index 2, right, with a position of relative. So now into the content block, I just make it a section. I'm gonna name this section 1. And for the purpose of this tutorial, as you saw in the example, I'm gonna have it a view height of 100. And within that element, I'm just gonna put a heading. I've actually preset this already, and I want it to be white. And also I go back to the section and just center the content like this. So let's make it tutorial white, because I want it to be white. Okay, let's not make it white. Let's just make it I'm white, because it takes too much space. And then I go to section number 2. I just copy this element and I make it another section within the content. I just build another section that I will make section 2. Again, I'll have it a view height of 100, and inside of that, I'm gonna apply this. I'm gonna put the section into flex center, and I'm gonna name this I'm blue, like the song, right? So I now have the two elements, which says I'm white, and which says I'm blue. The issue that we have here, there's no effect, so we want to apply that. And let's just see. First of all, we go to the background, and I want to change the opacity of the background element to 0, because I don't want it to be visible right now. I want it to snap into blue, right? So I go into the interactions tab, and this is where fun things happens. Instead of using the usual interactions that I'm used to, at least, I'm going to press legacy interactions, and I've already have 2 here that I tried ahead of this tutorial, but let's make a new one. Let's make this tutorial snap color effect. Yeah, tutorial snap color effect. Okay, let's just make it background color effect. What I want to do here is I want to apply a trigger as always, but I don't want to. I can actually change. So let's start with this. I press the scroll because I wanted to. Whenever I scroll into, okay, first of all, I was a bit too fast here. Let's go back to none here. I need to apply the legacy interaction to the section 2 element because I want the transition to happen whenever I go from section 1 to section 2. That's when I wanted to snap the background color. So I go into section 2, and this is where I can continue working with this tutorial snap background color effect. I go into trigger, and I'm going to make it scroll. So whenever I scroll into this element, that's when the interaction will happen. And I don't want the interaction to be affected, like applied to the section 2 element. I want it to be applied on the background too. So I actually press there, affect different elements, and then I'm just going to search for it. So I search for background. That's the element that we want to use. Press background. And now scroll into view. The only thing that I want to do is to make it 100. I want the background to go into 100% opacity. And whenever I scroll out, I want it to go back to 0. So what I've done now is that whenever I scroll into section 2, the background element, which will be affected, will have its opacity up to 100% from 0, which is the initial, because we set it to 0 before. And then whenever I scroll out, I want it to go back to 0. So, and just to have it not like, I don't want it to snap as soon as I start to scroll. I want to have a chance to scroll down. So let's put the offset here to 25%. The offset, what it does is like the trigger point is actually moved down a bit, right? You can see it's moved down. So it happens a bit later in the scroll, and in the scroll movement. So let's see how this will look like now whenever I view this website. So first of all, I actually need to change something here because this is not gonna be visible otherwise. Yeah, I'm white, and then I scroll down, and I'm blue. So white, blue, white. Now my computer lags, so white, blue, white, blue, white, blue, white, blue. Yeah, you get a point. And now it snaps. So there's no chance for me here to pause the animation in the middle. So even if I go very, very, very slow, it snaps. I have no chance to stop it. So yeah, this is the snap transition background color effect that I wanted to show you. I think that you will enjoy using this on your future websites. It really makes a difference than using the traditional interactions tab for sure. I think you're gonna like it. So yeah, hopefully it will come to good use. Take care.